Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. In this week's technical analysis, we'll take a quick look at the big three, and we really are at an important junction now, and I'll explain why that is. So last week, Bitcoin was trading at 73.50, and we were looking for a bit of a push up from this cycle bracket and for a higher low to form on the daily. So look, we have got that. I'll just zoom out to that 4-hour chart there so you can see this a bit better. We did get a bit of a sell-off yesterday. There wasn't any real news. It's just this sort of ascending wedge, a technical pattern that broke. But it just shows that the bears are still really in control for the short term. So look, this is where that higher low formed on the daily. Only slightly, a couple of $100. So what's the key levels? And I'm telling you now that everywhere you look, people are talking about these levels that I'm about to talk about. So this is very significant. If this breaks, expect a waterfall to the downside. Probably realistically a $500 move down towards 6,000. So that level that we're looking at now is right around here, that sort of 64.50 where we've touched a few times. And if that breaks, as we said, expect a waterfall down here to around 6,000, that significant low. We bounced off that long-term log trend line. And a lot of people, I just wanted to mention this yesterday. So I spoke at the Wholesale Investor Conference yesterday, and it was a different sort of crowd, and some of the speakers are definitely more sort of corporate from that non-retail background, I guess, which is sort of the community that I generally communicate with. So a lot of these guys were saying that they think the bears are still in control. They think the whales are definitely manipulating this market. And they're looking at the volume and they're saying that there's just not convincing enough volume yet. Now, Coinbase volume here is slightly incorrect, but the point they're making is that a lot of these people that are hodlers, and they're very aware that that's what the majority of retail investors are, they're not quite scared yet. They haven't been shaken out, and they believe that whales can still scare these people with one more flush down. Everyone I talk to just says that there's going to be so many buyers stepping in between 5,000 and 6,000. So if we get this flush down, it's going to be interesting to see how sharp of a reversal we get, or whether or not we just get a bounce off this old low. If we do get that waterfall and we break this level, because this cycle bracket is now pushing down until the 17th of April. So that's that'll be that downwards pressure, that final capitulation low somewhere here in the next week if we break this key level. So then I'm looking at, do we get a bounce? This is why I've got so many indicators on my chart. Do we get a bounce off this Bollinger Band, which is lining up with this last key low? And whether or not it's just a bounce or we get a really strong reversal. So then I'll be zooming in on the shorter time frames, seeing if we get big volume, start to step in and buy. If it's just a weak bounce, maybe we have that one more leg low. Maybe it's news driven, maybe it's all technical, but that's what I'm watching now. But everyone I talk to is saying that, they don't really see this going below 5,000. There's so many buyers stepping in, and what we're seeing is a lot of volume happening OTC as well. So Bitfinex does a lot of big OTC orders in the background as well, and take this with a grain of salt. This is a screenshot here by Jumping Chords on Reddit, a discussion that was going this morning. But look at this volume. This is normally only double, triple, that of Bitstamp and other large exchanges, but this is, almost a factor of 10 bigger. So there's some big orders coming in OTC that are getting digested behind the scenes, as well as volume on market here. So there's a lot of Bitcoin that's changing hands, guys, and that's what we talk about, those weak hands, the strong hands. We've seen some big names in the community, George Soros, Rockefellers, talking about maybe getting into crypto, and they don't buy on exchanges. They don't buy off you and me. They're buying big orders in the background. Maybe they're shorting the market. I think George Soros called Bitcoin a bubble when it was up here somewhere, and that's the sort of tactics we've seen plenty of times in the past. Scare the market, scare that retail investor that was purely speculating and doesn't understand the technology. Now they're at a loss. Now they think Bitcoin's dead. They sell. Those strong hands like accumulating in the background behind the scenes. Maybe they all step in on the next leg lower, and then they start to talk positively about crypto and that sort of thing, guys. If you've been in this space for any length of time, you've seen this cycle over and over again. So It's interesting to watch it play out. That's the really key level, guys, 64.50, and then again down at that sort of 6,000 round number psychological. And then if we get the flush, I personally will be stepping in to put on some trades on my favorite coins, you know, Amisa Go, IOTA, Neo. Those tend to be the coins that if Bitcoin drops 5%, they'll drop 15%. And if we get a 5% bounce, they'll have a 15% bounce. So they're the coins that I would be trading in a flush capitulation low situation, watching the RSI and the volume on those shorter time frames and stepping in to play a bounce. So sorry I've gone on a little bit there. I like to sort of mix in that sentiment and fundamentals and everything I talk about to go along with the numbers and the technicals. So just quickly, Ethereum has been a little bit stronger. It came up there and tagged that moving average, whereas, you know, Bitcoin and Litecoin haven't broken that that high there on the daily pattern. So that shows me that there's plenty of buyers stepping in for Ethereum. When this goes, it's going to go strongly. And you know, that 340 where we spent a lot of time and 300 psychological, I just think they're so strong long-term support. So if Bitcoin flushes, you know, you'd be very lucky. I don't think Ethereum's going to stay at $300 for very long if Bitcoin has that flush low. So turn off that log chart. As I said there, look, Litecoin didn't get up towards that moving average. It didn't break that that higher high there. So look, Litecoin remains weak until the 12th of April there. Maybe we get a bounce as well. But to be honest, I think this is just going to follow whatever Bitcoin does. As we've seen, I know the correlations are frustrating. It is what it is. At some point, they're going to break and move independently. You'll keep hearing me say that. But for the time being, all eyes are on Bitcoin, guys. All eyes are on those significant levels that I've just outlined there for you. So exciting week. Let's see how this plays out. I'll talk to you again soon, guys. Cheers.